The NFC South will come down to the final week with both the Falcons and the Bucs having a chance to win the division title. Justin, what do you expect to see this weekend?
Now, I'm going to put my hand up and say I called the Falcons to win the NFC South, but after watching this Tampa Bay Bucs team, they are built for the playoffs. They're built for this run. They've won 5 of their last 6. They're running the ball hard. Bucky Irving, Rashad White, even Sean Tucker, Syracuse's finest, coming in there and closing out some games. Baker Mayfield has had that resurgence these last 2 years. He's continued to build off that. Mike Evans doing what Mike Evans does, and then Todd Bowles and that defense have been great. If Raheem Morris can't figure out how to call a timeout, he doesn't know how to do any end-of-game situations. Younghoe Koo, they can't kick a field goal. It wasn't Younghoe Koo. It was some random guy, but it's Younghoe. The defense was getting run through yesterday by the Washington Commanders. They are not built for the playoffs. I liked what I saw from Michael Penix. At times, he was overthrowing some guys. Drake London, Kyle Pitts coming in, making some plays, dropped one down the sidelines, but caught the big one to tie it up. I like where the Falcons are heading. The Buccaneers are the better team. They control their own destiny. And for that reason, my choice is obvious. It is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and that duck that was on the field yesterday.
Yeah, listen, Atlanta had a lot to play for last night. They needed that win against the Commanders big time. Bijan Robinson is a monster. I actually thought Michael Penix played pretty good, man. In the clutch, in the situations that he needed to make some plays, 4th downs, he was awesome. He did have some overthrows, right? But that's to be expected. And they had a 17-7 lead early in the game. Like that, they just couldn't hold on to it. I think the Falcons are headed in the right direction, and I like Michael Penix. But Jake, who do you feel is the better team between Tampa Bay and Atlanta?
Well, I picked Tampa Bay to win the division. They're good. Even without Godwin, that was a big injury for him. Jalen McMillan has stepped up and filled that void pretty damn good. Defensively, I worry about their pass defense. That's where they struggle a lot. They don't get great pass rush. Their secondary is not very good. Hopefully Antoine Winfield will come back pretty soon to help that out. But that's their biggest Achilles heel, in my opinion. They have to rely on Todd Bowles' pressure packages to get home and get off the field. Offensively, Justin mentioned the guys, man. They're big. They got 3 really good backs. They got a good offensive line. They have a quarterback playing with a lot of confidence, one of the best receivers in pro football that nobody wants to give him credit for, Mike Evans. So I do miss Cade Otton. I think that's a big miss for him, although they had a couple tight ends step up yesterday. But overall, I think Tampa Bay is a much better team top to bottom.
Yeah, there you go. Baker Mayfield had him a day, right? He's playing at a high level. That offensive line, we've talked about this many times. The Bucs offensive line is legit. But AQ, if you're a playoff team watching the Falcons and watching the Bucs, and having a potential first round matchup with one of the two, who's a better matchup for you? Probably Atlanta, right? I don't know if I'd want to play the Bucs.
Yeah, if I'm any team in the NFC, I do not want to play the Bucs. I think people forget this. Tampa Bay beat Detroit. I don't think a lot of people remember that early in the year. They beat them up.
5-pick game from Jared Goff, or 4 picks or something like that?
No, it was a low-scoring game. Bowles had a great defensive game plan and and they ran the ball pretty well. Listen, another thing that people don't realize about the Bucs, they're top 5 in almost every rushing category. They fit playoff football. Everything about them fits playoff football. I called this early. I don't know if you guys remember.
You did.
Up Bucky Irving.
You did.
20 for 113 again yesterday. He has become an absolute stud, going for almost 1,000. Here's another interesting point. Jay mentioned has to bring the pressure packages, right? I don't think a lot of people saw this hit the wire yesterday. Shaq Barrett coming out of retirement, getting claimed by the Buccaneers yesterday. I don't think a lot of people remember seeing that. Shaq Barrett was a 20-sack guy a couple years ago. Does he still have it? Who knows? He's had some injuries. He's had some Achilles. But I think that could be a nice little get for them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I did see that, but I didn't know if that was going to go through, if it was going to happen, when he was going to come. I know that they had talked about that like several weeks ago, but the Dolphins, I guess, wouldn't release him or something. But that will be one. That'll definitely be one to watch. Justin, the Bucs are at home against the Saints, while the Falcons play at home against the Panthers. Who has the better matchup here?
I'm just going to go right to quarterbacks. You have Bryce Young, who's been playing better. I don't want to say like he's just the savior of the franchise, but Spencer Rattler has been awful. The Saints and Rizzy Ball, they've been relying on people missing field goals to win games. The New Orleans Saints haven't shown me a single thing. They're a more beat up team. The Panthers and Dave Canales, have been trending in the right direction. They're not all the way home. They got their butts kicked last week by this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, but I think they can put up more of a fight than New Orleans Saints. It's all over for the Saints. I think it makes it even easier for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, well, it's all over for the Saints, but it's not all over for us. Before we continue, just wanted to shout out everyone who has subscribed to this channel. We are over 12,000 subscribers and on our way to 20,000, so drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and help us continue moving up. Jay, you've seen a little sample size of Michael Penix. How do you evaluate him so far in his early NFL career?
Well, over 2 games, you like the fact he's gotten better. He has plenty of zip on the football. There's no question about that. He looks comfortable in the pocket. He doesn't look rattled when he does get pressure. So I've been impressed with him. Obviously, he's got to hit the layups. You know, he had a nice sluggo to Bijan down the sideline, wide open. That's something you just can't overthrow. And he overthrew another long one later on. But, you know, I like where he's at. I'm not totally sold that he's the future of the organization right now. There's a lot of work to be had, but I do like his ability, his poise, his arm strength. He's got all the qualities to be pretty good. You know, mobility, I don't know if he's that mobile or not, but I give him a thumbs up for the future for the Falcons right now over 2 games.
Yeah, I like that. I liked him coming out of college. I think he played pretty good on a primetime game on the road in Washington, a game that mattered for both teams. You know, he sent that team into overtime and almost came out. He didn't get to touch the ball in overtime, so I wish we got to see what he did.
That's what I'm saying, Colt. Like, A, they should have gone for 2, right? But B, that kid in his second NFL start drove down the field to tie a game up. Like, that it factor is something you can't coach.
100%. And so going back to my question to AQ, it's like, who do you want to see in the playoffs, right? I would probably not want to see the Bucs for all the reasons we talked about. I mean, in a rookie quarterback, but again, like, you know, if you had to go against the Falcons, like, you don't have a lot of tape on Penix. You don't know all his like tendencies or things. Like, I thought he played very well the other night. Not, you know, statistically you can say what you want, but just the it factor that, you know, just his confidence, his poise back there. I thought he played well.
Want to win money watching football? With Underdog, you could win up to 1,000 times your cash just by picking higher or lower on your favorite player's stats, like whether or not your team's running back will score a touchdown this weekend. Millions of fans have won billions of dollars on Underdog. Will you be next? Sign up now to get a free pick for your first cash entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Download the Underdog app or visit UnderdogFantasy.com to get started today.
AQ, neither team will really be able to rely on the scoreboard since they're playing at the same time, right? They can maybe see the score, but they don't really know exactly what's going on. Have you ever been in a situation like that?
I'm sure I have. I think at the end of the day, though, like if you're the coach, all you sit there and say is, hey, we got to go take care of business. Who cares what they do? And I would literally, if I'm Todd Bowles, I'm saying, hey, listen, I'm telling the guys upstairs, don't even put their score on our jumbotrons, our banners around the thing. Like, listen, we take care of what we do. We're good. We control our own fate, right? And if you're Atlanta, it's the same thing. Like, we have to win and hope for a loss. So, like, it doesn't matter what they do if we lose, right? We have to go win. So at the end of the day, both teams are in a situation where they have to go win. So that's all you have to do. Just put your blinders on, go to work, go get a win, and however the chips fall, that's how we have to live.
Jay, have you ever been in a situation like this where you need help from another team and you're playing at the same time?
I can't remember. Maybe in Cincinnati. I don't recall, but not in Washington. Like I said, Washington, we had to beat Philadelphia to clinch the division. Then the last game against the Giants and Justin Pugh's mighty Giants, where they had nothing to play for, they beat us, but we didn't have to rely on anybody else. So not that I recall. No, it'd be a unique situation, but I think AQ is right. I think the most important thing is control what you can control and just win the game that you're playing in, period, end of story.
There you go. All right, let's make some predictions for both the Saints and the Saints at the Bucs and Panthers at the Falcons this weekend. Tell me who wins the division, AQ.
Yeah, it's the Bucs. The Bucs are going to win. I think the Bucs beat up on the Saints. They beat them by 40, I'm going to say. I think it's going to be another 48-7 type of game. They're going to go out at home and just beat the shit out of them. I think that's literally what's going to happen. And I think on the other end, I think Atlanta probably beats Carolina. I think Carolina's doing a lot of things right now where they want to see things from Bryce Young. It's just a lot of experimental football at this point. They're not relying on the run game. I got some sources down there saying they're trying to pass the ball a little bit more instead of leaning on the O-line and, run the ball a little bit because they want to see what they got from Bryce Young. So I think at the end of the day, you're getting a lot of experimental football from Carolina, not a team that's really doing what they need to do best to go win a game. So in my opinion, I think both teams win, but the problem is the Falcons lost this week to the Commanders, and the Bucs hold the fate. Bucs move on.
Not AQ. Justin, what do you think about this weekend? And I think the Bucs take it all.
Yeah, I think the Bucs take it all.
Jay, I'm going to you. How do you feel about this? Falcons or Bucs making the playoffs?
I think Tampa, just because New Orleans, if you had to win any game this year and you had to win one game, who would you pick to play? I'd probably pick New Orleans right now. They're awful.
You wouldn't pick the New York Giants?
The North Jays beat the hell out of the Colts. The Colts sure as I wouldn't pick them. But the Saints are my first pick. They can't stop anybody. But the Falcons will play pretty well against Carolina. Carolina's starting to throw the ball around a little bit more, but the strength of Atlanta's defense is their pass defense with Simmons and Bates and A.J. Terrell. I think both teams will win pretty easily, but I think the Bucs will get in there and be a playoff threat to the 5 seed, which will probably be Detroit or Minnesota coming to Tampa Bay. Justin, what do you think about that?
Well, you just contradicted yourself. You said Detroit was going to lose and be the 5 seed. So now I know
Detroit
you're not really.
Minnesota.
You snuck that in there after.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think the Bucs are going to demolish the Saints. I mean, the Saints are they've struggled, right? They can't move the football. They can't stop anybody. After the Bucs lost to the Chargers a couple weeks ago, they've been on a tear, and I think that they're going to roll, and I think they could potentially, like AQ said, I think they're going to host a home playoff game. Going to be a tough one, but I wouldn't be surprised if they figure out a way to win. Their offensive line is very sound. They're very good. Bucky Irving runs the football well, and they can score on anybody. Baker Mayfield's balling. So I think the Bucs figure it out. I think the Bucs win the division, and that's a wrap on the NFC South.